Good morning. Have a seat. Thanks, Mrs. Kim. As we discussed, to finalize the loan for a company, we need a personal guarantee from someone with ownership. That would be you today.
Okay, right, understood.
This document here is a letter of guarantee. It explains what happens if the company cannot repay the loan.
Okay.
No worries, hopefully it would come to that, but it protects the company in case of unexpected situations. Take your time to read it through.
So, if the company pays back everything on time, this paper doesn't matter, right?
Exactly, it is insurance.
Great, I'm ready to sign it.
Wonderful. Please sign here. And we'll also need a copy of ID for our records.
Okay.
Now we can finalize the loan quickly.
No problem, Mrs. Kim. Thank you for explaining everything.
Absolutely. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's all. Thanks again. Mrs. Kim, there's been a change. I need to cancel the loan.
Cancel? But the paperwork is signed. We were just about to finalize the loan for a company.
I understood, but unfortunately, circumstances have changed. I can't take this personal responsibility anymore. I apologize for any inconvenience.
Inconvenient? Mrs. Yap, this is a serious matter. We have already started processing the loan based on your guarantee.
I understood your frustration, Mrs. Kim. However, I have the right to withdraw my consent. Perhaps we can discuss alternative solution for the loan.
Let's just take this to court then. We have invested time and resources based on your side agreement. This puts us in a difficult position. And frankly, your sudden withdrawal is unacceptable.
Court is now in session. The case of Asia Commercial Finance Berhad versus Mrs. Yap Billy is before us. Asia Commercial Lawyer, please proceed.
Your Honor, as you can see, Mrs. Yap Billy is not present in court today. We have previously served her with the lawsuit and the court date. So, given her absence, we request a default judgment in our favor.
Ms. Danya, can you confirm that Mrs. Yap was properly served with the court document?
Yes, Your Honor. We have documented proof of service delivered to Ms. Yap Billy registered address.
Thank you, Ms. Danya. Does Asia Commercial Plaintiff wish to present any further evidence to support your claim?
Your Honor, we have signed the letter of guarantee as evidence of Mrs. Yap Billy's agreement.
The court has reviewed the letter of guarantee and the evidence of service. In the absence of Mrs. Yap Billy and considering the presented evidence, the court finds in favor of Asia Commercial Finance. A default judgment is hereby issued against Mrs. Yap Billy. The case is closed.
I'm hereby requesting to appoint me as a guardian of my wife, Yap Billy. Other than that, I'm requesting for the default judgment to be set aside on the ground, as my wife was in the unsound mind.
Mrs. Yap Billy didn't acknowledge me when we were entering into the contract.
Please, do see this report. My wife went to the hospital Bahagia 3 times between 1 June 1979 until 21 January 1987. The specialist, Dr. Mahadevan, said that my wife was a bipolar depression.
Sorry to hear that. However, I was not informed about this issue. I will see you in court.
Court is now in session. We are here today to revisit the case of Asia Commercial Finance Berhad versus Mrs. Yap Billy. This trial is attended by a representative from the defendant side. Please introduce yourself.
Your Honor, my name is Lam Seo. I'm the defendant husband, and I will be taking my wife's place today. Thank you.
Defendant lawyer, you requested a hearing to set aside the default judgment. Can you state your case?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are representing Mrs. Yap Billy, who was previously unable to attend the initial hearing. We are requesting the court to set aside the default judgment on grounds of unsigned. At the time Mrs. Yap signed the initial letter of guarantee, she demonstrated not of sound mental capacity.
Interesting. Do you have any support to claim this?
Absolutely, Your Honor. We have submitted a report from the defendant's husband that details her hospitalization history. In the report, it confirms that Mrs. Yap was admitted to Hospital Bahagia on 3 separate occasions from June 1st, 1979 to January 21st, 1987. Additionally, a specialist, Dr. Mahidevran, also supported a diagnosis of bipolar depression for Mrs. Yap. This biomedical diagnosis clearly demonstrates that Mrs. Yap's medical state was compromised at the time she signed the loan guarantee, rendering her unable to understand the full implication of her agreement.
Your Honor, with all due respect, this seems like a fabricated excuse to avoid legitimate debt. The guarantee was signed willingly, and we acted in good faith based on that agreement.
Please present your evidence to support your review. The court acknowledged the evidence presented regarding Mrs. Yap's mental health history. While this raised question about mental state at the time of signing the agreement, the court also recognized that Mrs. Yap's husband requested to be appointed guardian ad litem regarding due to evidence of potential infection of reason. However, the lack of evidence demonstrating that anyone else, including her husband, was aware of the condition at the time of signing the agreement, weakens the argument for a complete cancellation of the contract. Therefore, setting aside the default judgment entirely is not warranted.
Your Honor, but the medical reports.
This is outrageous. You're ignoring the clear evidence of my wife's mental state. Why you let this injustice happen? Why?
Mr. Lim, I must ask you to sit down. We understand your condition. However, the evidence presented falls short of overturning the original default judgment. Unfortunately, Mrs. Yap absent from the initial hearing, and the lack of concrete proof regarding her mental state at the time signing leave the court with no choice. The default judgment in favor of plaintiff stands. Mrs. Yap Billy is responsible for fulfilling her obligation as outlined in the letter of guarantee.
Thank you, Your Honor. We appreciate the court's fair judgment.
Your Honor, this will cause significant damages to Mrs. Yap. Is there no room for negotiation?
Unfortunately, the court can rewrite contracts based on unforeseen circumstances. Mrs. Yap had the opportunity to present her case during this hearing, but the evidence presented was not sufficient to alter the initial ruling. This case is closed.
Hey, can you do anything about this? This is destroy my life. This is destroy our life.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lam.